What's going on YouTube? Today I just want to share some tips. It's Greg Gallagher from Kinobody, and today I want to talk about fat loss. What it really takes, to lose fat and to get lean. Because you see a lot of confusion out there. People are doing these crazy things, thinking that somehow it's going to help them reach their goals and help them lose weight and stimulate their metabolism. But really all it's doing is causing them more ache, more discomfort, and it's more of a pain in the ass. It screws up with their routine. Because what you need to understand is to lose weight, to get lean, all you really need to do is create a calorie deficit. If you're burning more calories than your body is taking in, your body's going to have to lose weight. It's the law of thermodynamics. That's how it works. We can't create energy out of nowhere, and we can't find there's no fat loss loophole that allows us to jack our metabolic rate up. That just doesn't really exist. As much as marketing and fitness publications will have you believe, it's just not there. So really you got to create that calorie deficit, boom, and you got to do a couple things to make sure you maintain your muscle. If you do that, you're going to lose weight and you're going to lose fat and you're going to maintain that lean body mass. So at the end of the day, you'll look great. So now, what does it take to lose fat? Well, it's just about creating that calorie deficit. Eating 6 meals a day is not going to boost your metabolism. It doesn't make a difference whether you eat 2 meals a day or 6 or 10 or 12. That whole concept was based on the thermogenic effect of food, which is proportional to the amount of calories you eat. So if you eat 2,000 calories in 10 meals or 1 meal, you're still going to burn the same amount of calories through digestion. You'll have people say like you got to go low carbs. If carbs stimulate insulin, which will cause you to gain weight. That's just completely one-dimensional. You still have to be in a calorie surplus to gain weight. Your insulin can be elevated periodically from carbs, but if you're in that calorie deficit, your body will still lose fat. Carbs aren't magical. They can't create energy out of nowhere. It's just not how it works. So it's about that calorie deficit. And in the same respects, if you're eating very low carb diet, you're getting very low insulin, you're having very low stabilized insulin levels, but you're consuming buttloads of protein and fat, well great, your body actually has mechanisms in place where it can store fat without the presence of insulin. So it all comes down to that calorie deficit. And what you really need to do at the end of the day is you got to find a way to, you got to set the proper calorie deficit. If you go too low in calories, then it's going to be miserable. You're not going to be able to stick to the diet. And if you go, too high in calories, it'll take forever to lose weight. So I really recommend doing about a 20% calorie deficit. So you find out how many calories you burn per day. Let's say it's 3,000, and then you do a 20% deficit, which is about 600. So you'll eat 2,400. And if that's a little bit too much, you can always, go a little bit higher and accept a little bit slower fat loss. But going too low in calories you're gonna probably lose some muscle, and B, it's gonna be a miserable diet. So I don't really recommend that. So yeah, about a 20% calorie deficit. And then you really need to find the way that allows you to diet and lose weight as effortlessly as possible. So for some people, maybe you like to eat every 3 hours. That's cool. That's what works for you. That's what you need to understand. We need to understand as well is that it's not magical. You got to find the meal pattern that suits you. A couple other important things. You got to get enough protein to maintain muscle. That's 0.82 grams per pound. That has the maximum benefit. So if you're a 200-pounder, it's about 164 grams of protein per day. That's not that much. It's not as much as you've been led to believe in fitness magazines and bodybuilding forums. So then once you get that handled, once you get the right amount of calories, the right amount of protein, and then your strength training to maintain muscle, you're pretty much golden. How you make up the rest of your calories, that's going to be more or less individual preference. Some people are going to want to go higher in carbs. Some people are going to want to go higher in fat. That's really up to you. As a base level, I would set fat intake between 20 and 30% of total calories. That will help keep you full. That will help support hormonal functioning, testosterone. It will help make the meals taste less bland because fat gives it more flavor. So yeah, your protein is going to be at 0.82 grams per pound. If you want to go higher, you can go up to 1 gram per pound. And then fat somewhere between 20 and 30%. I favor more around the lines of 25 to 30. That's what I function best on. And maybe you prefer to be higher at 30 to 35. That's cool. And then the rest of your calories come from carbs. Carbs are really important because they help support optimal training performance. Anaerobic training, when you're lifting weights, it's going to be fueled by carbs and glycogen, so that's what you need. Carbs will also help with sleep, recovery. They'll support that testosterone to cortisol ratio. So carbs are important. Now, the food choices you pick are also very important because natural, wholesome foods will help keep you full. Processed foods and protein shakes and liquids are not going to keep you full on a diet. So go with wholesome foods like lean proteins, veggies, starches like potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice. I like rice pasta. I don't consume gluten. And then a couple pieces of fruit per day is completely permissible. It's completely fine. I don't go too high in fruit just because I don't like to snack. I eat like 2 big meals a day, maybe some light protein, a small light protein meal as well. I find that adding fruit to a meal doesn't really enhance the fillingness of a meal. I like to fill up on the meat, the vegetables, and the starches. But having 2-3 pieces of fruit per day is healthy. It's great for you. There's a lot of nutrients. But when you go too high in fruit, it's a lot of fructose, and fructose isn't really efficient at replenishing muscle glycogen and elevating leptin, a hormone that helps stimulate metabolic release. So, yeah, I think that 3 or 4 pieces of fruit per day max. But you got a lot of carbs. Usually, you'll have a lot of carbs to work with if you're an active individual, and most of those carbs should come from your starches, potatoes, pasta, rice. So that's how I approach fat loss. You got to do what works for you. Find the right amount of calories you need to consume to lose weight, and then make it as enjoyable as possible. It's okay to have some junk, even every day. A lot of the time I'll have like these Chapman ice cream bars. They have 150 calories each. I have like 2 of them. Sometimes I'll have them every single day. As long as I'm in a calorie deficit, as long as I'm getting my protein and my macronutrients, I know that's completely fine. So that's what you need to understand. And even if you go eat out, that's cool. Just stick to your calories, your proteins, your fats. Eating healthy, natural foods 80-90% of the time is great. But you don't have to be a food Nazi. That's really what fat loss is about. Get the calorie deficit in, mostly wholesome foods, protein, get your protein, fat, carbs, lift weights, and you'll lose fat, you'll look better, and you'll maintain your muscle mass. So that is all I have to say about fat loss. No single food macronutrient is going to make you fat. It's the law of thermodynamics. So leave your questions and comments below, and I think it's important to understand that you got to really do what works best for you as long as you stick to those concepts: the calories, the strength training, the protein. Take care. Bye-bye.